I am going to be starting this topic today by touching a little bit of the history of Igbo orthography. The history of Igbo orthography. And what is orthography? Orthography is simply a system of writing down the sounds and letters of a language. I just want to go to my dictionary to read it out. Keduzebe dictionary ha hono. So that we are aware. Ndị bekee kwuru na mkpụrụ okwu a na-akpọ orthography. Ndị bekee si na ọ bụ the art of writing words with the proper letters according to the standard usage. Another definition of it says the representation of sounds of a language by written or printed symbols. The representation of sounds. Okay, I want to read it for the last time and then we will go ahead today. This is a topic I do not want to rush. This is a topic I want to take my time and slow down in the way I communicate so that I am going to get everybody's maximum understanding. Dịka m kwuru, ihe a bụ isiokwu gbasara ndị na-amụ ka esi ede na ndị na-amụ ka esi asụ n'ebe ohere nne. This is a topic that touches on your learning efforts in terms of writing and your learning efforts in terms of speaking. Let me not forget to invite you to go to our bio if you are on TikTok, to use the link there and join the Telegram group that we've created called Omenka Igbo Action Group. One of the things we are doing there is to go ahead and create policy, or rather documents that will influence change in the way Igbo language is being treated, both by the government and non-government organizations. If you are on YouTube, if you are not on TikTok, you've not joined that action group, you are on YouTube, send me a message on the channel and I am going to reply. Please do that so that I will share the link with you. I have not put that link on our YouTube bio yet. Right. Ndewonu. So I'm reading for the last time the definition. It says orthography, the art of writing words with proper letters according to standard. The B part of it says the representation of the sounds of a language by written or printed symbols. Okay, now in the understanding of English, it is talking about the system of writing down the sounds, writing down the letters of a language. Asụsụ ọbụla nwere ka esi ede mkpụrụ edemede, the letters, mkpụrụ edemede eji ede ihe na mkpụrụ ụda eji ekwu okwu. Asụsụ ọbụla. Every language has a system of sound, the way it is written down, or a system of letters, the codes that makes it up. And what I mean is every language that is being written down. I am not including languages that are not already written down. All right. I want to let you know the reason that this topic is being treated beginning from today. Nke mbụ bụ na ndị nkuzi anyị na ha na-arụkọ ọrụ mere ka anyị mara, and I'm going to say this in English as well. Ndị nkuzi anyị na ha na-arụkọ ọrụ mere ka anyị mara na enwere otu ajụjụ ndị ule WAEC na-ajụ ihe dịka afọ niile. Ajụjụ a bụ nke na-ebute ọgba aghara, na-ebute nsogbu n'ebe ụmụazị na-ele ule na ndị na-akụziri ha ihe nọ, bụkwa nke na-ebute nsogbu n'ebe asụsụ Igbo dị, n'ogo na nsogbu ya bụ nke na-akpalite nrụrịta ụka n'etiti ma ndị na-amụ amụ ma ndị na-akụzi akụzi, ruo na onye kwenyere nke o kwenyere ya okwechiri, o wee sị na nke ị na-akọ onweghị isi o nwere. Mana ileba ya anya, i wee hụ na ihe a bụ ihe nwere ezigbote nghọta nke na-agbagwoju anya maọbụ nke na-ekwesịghị ịgbagwoju anya. Ya bụrụ na dịka o si dịrị kemgbe ka esi na-eme ya n'ule WAEC, ọ dịkwa ka na WAEC bịara hụta na ọtụtụ n'ime ụmụ akwụkwọ kwa afọ niile na-ada ajụjụ ahụ. WAEC wee na-eweta ajụjụ ahụ afọ niile. What am I saying? West African Examination Council is the exam that is being written in Nigeria for you to pass out from secondary school. It is also written in other West African countries, right? It is called WAEC. WAEC writes Igbo as part of the languages of the country that students write before they pass out. So if you are Igbo, if you are an Igbo child or student, you are expected to write Igbo in WAEC. Okay, even though a lot of students don't as well. So those which is a question that has created a lot of confusion amongst both Igbo students and Igbo teachers at the level of secondary, if possible, primary, and then university. This has created some level of confusion amongst scholars and students to the point that whoever believes in one idea stands upon it and doesn't want to, because there are written documentations. There are documentations that support what he believes and the other. So that is why it has become urgent for me to address this topic. And this also goes to the point that Igbo language has been facing a lot of ruffling historically. Now, I'm going to go back as I start now to the history of Igbo orthography. Aga m emetụrụ anyị aka ka ụkpụrụ akụkọ ala ihe gbasara ka esi ede Igbo, ka esi edekọ Igbo, odide Igbo, orthography Igbo. Aga m emetụrụ anyị aka ka o si dịrị kamgbe gboo. And I'm going to say a lot of this in English so that I don't have to repeat this, since at least all of us understand English. And I'm going to also read out from, a good article I found just to add up to what I'm going to say. The Igbo language has gone through a lot of changes over time, the orthography of Igbo language. And by the way, thank you to all of those that are tapping on this on the screen for us on TikTok, and those have been giving gifts. All right, the history of Igbo orthography has it that so far the primary or one of the earliest writing systems that the Igbo people had was a writing system shared by the Igbo. And thank you, Christo Obuli. Chris Obuli, ndewo, Obuli 17, dalo, ndewo, thank you for the roses. So, odide Igbo, orthography Igbo bụ nke ọtụtụ ihe merela. Ọtụtụ mbọ agbarala ka azọpụta ya ka o wee bụrụ nke ga-akwụrụ onwe ya kpọmkwem. The Igbo orthography has suffered a lot of changes historically. One of the earliest writing systems of the Igbo was being shared by the Igbo people, the Efik people, and the Ibibio people. Remember, these people used to be one until time separated them, separated their language as well. Okay? And that was called Nsibidi. Does it have two E? Nsibidi? Or is one? All right. Nsibidi. So many of you might be familiar with Nsibidi, right? It could be called Nsibidi or Nsibidi. I don't think there's I've not heard a very consistent tone to it. I've not really seen, but I don't know which one is the most correct, but I think it is used as Nsibidi or Nsibidi. This Nsibidi is an ancient writing system, just like Egyptian hieroglyphic. Okay, and if you have watched Black Panther, this Nsibidi was featured in Black Panther as an ancient writing system. That is to let you know how old it has been. But during colonialism, the Europeans replaced Nsibidi with the English alphabets. Nsibidi was not very popular because as at that time, people were not primarily writing in letters. Nsibidi was more of hieroglyphic pictograph, a representation of an evolution of writing system. Every language has passed through that stage where pictograms, pictures were used to represent thoughts and ideas. From there to maybe letters. Okay? So, when the Europeans, British, came to the Igbo community and conquered them after 31 years of struggle, efforts, and losing of their own lives, they were able to start touching all the fabrics of the existence of the people, including their language. You know that when a people is being conquered, their language is one of the things that is being taken hostage. Our language, Igbo, was taken hostage, and everything about it was being transformed to English. The English people started rewriting our stories, rewriting our histories, including rewriting our writing system. So they introduced the English alphabets, okay? And much later in the year, I think in 1860 something or 1856, a man called Carl Lepsius was appointed because the English alphabet that was introduced did not sit well with the people. Igbo people rejected it. And I just want to say, the same thing they were doing to Igbo, they were doing to other languages. Yeah, Chizzy said if we had advanced in CBD, that could have been the most important point where Igbo land met Southeast Asia, because the CBD is close to the South Asian, it's close to the Asian or Chinese language. Exactly, Kokoshik. We know that, and that is why we do the work we do. We must sensitize ourselves, our people, because a lot of us are so clueless, so ignorant of the modus operandi that has been there from several hundreds of years before we were born. And just so you know, this is a 500-year-old war that we have been fighting. 500-year-old battle that we've been fighting. So it has been older than us, and we are the ones trying to change the narrative. This our time, and I believe we are going to make a lot of difference by the time we are leaving this planet Earth, if we continue in the spirit that we are going, because we have better tools than our fathers and forefathers, to fight this hegemony that shows itself in the way of globalization. All right. So when they started, they tried to recreate our letters of the alphabet. They appointed Carl Lepsius. He did his work because the reason the point I wanted to make was before I read what Chizzy said was because Nsibidi was not popularly used amongst the speakers. It was primarily used in some sects, in courts, by the police and government system. Then before colonialism, you can imagine. So I mentioned courts. Our people had court system. Our people had policing system. Our people had governmental systems that existed. So, but it was not popularly used amongst common speakers of the language. It was not well established. It was not standardized. Igbo people spoke in their different dialects, understood one another when they came together. So after Carl Lepsius did his work, not only on Igbo, but also on other African languages, created another set of letters of the alphabet for the Igbo, which now went from 26 to 36. So it kind of modifying the English letters of the alphabet, adding some other sounds that they believed existed in African language, and then African languages anyway. That also continued, but unfortunately did not also sit well with our people. And I will read a little bit about this. Even though Carl, it was regarded that his thing was to standardize the alphabets. In 1927, the International Institute of African Languages and Culture, called IIALC, published a practical orthography of African languages. The two main proponents of this orthography were Mr. Adams, Inspector of Education, and Dr. Ward, a language researcher from Britain. There was an orthography we called Adam Ward that emerged from their work. The orthography of African languages introduced two new letters to represent two vowel sounds, a. The new orthography did away with diacritical marks that Carl Lepsius introduced. The orthography was made up of the following 36 letters, 8 vowels, and 28 consonants. And I won't read them out because a lot of them do not make sense. Then at this time, you know that we are in the middle of British rulership, and we are now a people ruled by another people, and everything about us became English. Everything changed. And when you have this knowledge, when you are blaming our ancestors to a large extent, we also praise them for standing, in the face of this whole attack. The Catholic mission, which was now introduced to us as a church in Christianity, the Catholic mission, which had not done lots of publications, adopted the orthography of African languages. But the Church Missionary Society, which was the second one, the two churches that had disagreements because of their interests, they were using us to play ball. Everybody, each one of them was, doing their thing according to how it favored their own mission. The Catholic mission, which was the CMS, the Church Missionary Society, rather, which is called Protestant Mission, which had done most of their publications using Lepsius Standard Alphabet, decided not to adopt the orthography of African languages. As a result, the Lepsius Standard Alphabet and the orthography of African languages existed side by side. It is important to point out this. Hasina, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. Nda jiri gbagide bọọlụ tigide pele na onwe onye chọrọ ka ewekọta uche ọnụ. Ihe ha chọrọ bụ nke otu o si gbasata ha nwa, ndị ụka ha, ndị dinyere ha ozi na ngụkọ ha ga-enye ha. Ụzọ chọọchị abụọ bụ nke gbara mbọ n'ụzọ niile ha chọrọ ka o si gbasa ha, ka o si metụta ha, itinye aka na ihe gbasara asụsụ Igbo ruokwe n'omenala Catholic na CMS. These two churches became two opposing parties. Thank you for the hearts. These two parties became two opposing ideas as well. None wanted to yield to the idea of the other. Thank you. Nyara, thank you for the donuts. Appreciate it. The CMS didn't want to agree with the Catholic Church on the issue of Igbo orthography, and by extension, African languages orthography. They wanted to unify everything in a way that it will help them to be able to propagate the gospel. Okay. Now, the Catholic Church, Karl Lepsius, from this article, is suggesting that Karl Lepsius favored the CMS. And it was said that, yes, the CMS was the church or the group that started research in African languages. Now, the effort they made in Igbo became what created the first orthography after Nsibidi through Karl Lepsius. But because Catholic Church, which I believe was more powerful from Rome, did not want to copy from the people they considered lower than them, and they have not been doing many researches, there was this disagreement between two of them. The owners of the language, I do not know how much they were being consulted. I do not know how much Igbo people were being consulted, while all this was going on. And now, the Adam and Ward, the two people that were doing research, were also called upon to look into this disagreement and come up with something better and more generally acceptable. Right. As a result of the lack of agreement between the two main stakeholders of education, the Catholic mission and the Protestant mission, the government stepped up a committee headed by S.E. Onwu to recommend a script which would be acceptable to the Catholic mission and the Protestant mission. On 28 November 1953, the committee came up with the following orthography, which was the orthography we called Onwu orthography. Remember, 1953. 1953. As at this time, Nigeria did not have independence yet, right? That is to say that Nigeria was still being ruled by the British. 1953. All the way from 18 to 19. And then it's coming into the 19th century, as we call it today. I grew up learning the Onwu orthography. The Onwu orthography is the one we call ABBD. Efegehii jikelemenenge o opipere se shiti o viweyezeche. That was the Onwu orthography. Those of you that are Gen Zs and Y2Ks and AI babies born today, you do not know the Onwu orthography. The Onwu orthography ended in che. I don't know if they wrote it here. Okay. Let me see. I think ABB. No. That's not the main Onwu orthography. All right. So Onwu orthography. Somebody saying over Jesus. So the Onwu orthography ended with the yes, with a chi. And this was going on. I think we all were writing with the Onwu orthography in the 80s, in the 90s, I believe, in the elementary school. At least I was in the elementary school in the 1980s. Chizi si nna m ịkala nna m o teela nụ na anyị hụrụ ịmụkwa Satọde ole anyị hụrụ na Chizi. No be today now. So we did the Onwu orthography, okay, and until I will tell you, if I'm not able to recite the Igbo orthography by heart today, it is because of the change. Because you all know how powerful what we have learned becomes, and becomes problematic for us to unlearn and relearn. That is also part of what we are doing in this sensitization. The challenge we're having is that a lot of us have learned lies while we were growing up through the colonial aftermath, teachings that came from colonial imposition of knowledge to us in education, in religion, in all aspects of life. They took us hostage. It takes people their lifetime relearning or unlearning a lot of things that we learned while growing up. So, it has taken me time to learn the new orthography, which is where we are going to end up our class. Okay, so the Onwu orthography, all right, let me read that again. So the orthography introduced the letters, some letters that they wrote here, which of course not relevant to Igbo language today, to replace the diacritics. One of their problems was the diacritics. Diacritics bụ pom a na-etinye na mkpụrụ edemede. Pom. They had problems with this. They had problems with these letters that have pom the way they have them. At some point, I may do some phonetic representations of them, but you all know that we have letters that have this in Igbo. A lot of problems that you who are speaking Igbo today have in writing Igbo also have to do with these letters. Historically, these letters have created problems because these are not in existence in Igbo language. And for several hundreds of years, our language was subdued by English. And English wanted our language to take the shape of English language. Exactly. Coco Chic said, I've seen them, but I can't pronounce them well. So that is one of the challenges they had. Okay. So he said that the government, all right, the orthography introduced those letters, the Catholic mission and the Protestant mission. The government was keen on establishing and maintaining order. What we are looking at here is a British government, right? British government. So the Onwu committee, which was really headed by a man called S.E. Onwu. Most of the times, even we that learned Onwu orthography, we didn't even know why it was called Onwu orthography, except when the same man S.E. Onwu was mentioned. Was reconvened, whereas one of the goals of the first Onwu committee was to remove the diacritics. You can imagine that. Was to remove the diacritics. In 1961, a year after Nigeria's independence, none of us, I'm not sure how many of us are here that was born by then, the Onwu committee published the official Igbo orthography. It became known as the Onwu orthography and comprises the following letters of the alphabet. Okay, I think this is one I'm going to read. It's still not the one. Yeah. Abi, bi, chi. No, it transformed. It transformed from this to what they taught us when we were now doing our elementary school. In 1973, the Standard Committee of the Society for Promoting Igbo Language and Culture, SPILC, made additional recommendation for the alphabet to be rearranged in this order: abchd, efegegbighi, gwighi, ijikekpi, kwelemene, nge, nwenye, o, opi, risi, shi, ti, o, vi, we, yeze. And I must tell you, as much as the history has it that this change was recommended in 1973, it was not accepted till later around the 19 maybe 80s or 90s. I could say 90s. It wasn't generally widely taught. I could remember that in the 80s, a lot of people were still teaching the old Onwu orthography. And that is what led to what we have today that we call the revised Onwu orthography. What SPILLC, which is called Society for the Promotion of Igbo Language and Culture, did was not to create a new orthography. What they did was to revise the Onwu orthography and created what we have today as Abichede rather than Abibidi. Abichede, Efegibi, he, ye, he, and the way we recite it, I can tell you that it is what is being taught today in school. Now, Society for the Promotion of Igbo Language and Culture was led and headed by a man called F.C. Obalo. And I was sharing with my team members today when we mentioned that, because there's a lecture about F.C. Obalo and that is coming up in Unizik in the next, I think it's tomorrow, right? And I was telling them that the Obalo that we hear that did a lot of work in Igbo language was not primarily an Igbo scholar. And he was a linguist and educator. But he had to do a lot of work. He was not primarily an Igbo scholar. He was a linguist and educator. But he was appointed, or he took it upon himself to found the SPILC that did a lot of work in harmonizing and standardizing the Igbo alphabets, the Igbo letters of the alphabet. Having done that history, please, if you have a question, put it down. I'm going to now write the current Igbo alphabet as it is. Why am I doing this? Did I miss anything? Edetakwara m ya? Kedu ndị mara abechi? Kedu ndị na-ebe a mara abechi? All right. Edetara m ya Nwada Sally. Kedem ha gara? Chizi edetara m ya? Okay, arụkwa ka ndị na Precious na-eche Precious and I think. Akwa edoziela m ugbu a. Why is my camera not? Unu lee anya. 1 sec. Okay, Precious. Oh, it's true. I miss it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We. Thank you. He. Okay. Nwada lekwa ngi ebe a. Ngi. Ka m dee ya taa. Kwa anyanwa. Okay. All right. So Chizi macha ya. Okay. Okay, mi ni ngi bi tupu nwi. Aha, ebe m na nwere mgbagwoju anya. Ni ngi nwi nye. Okay. Edezieli ugbu a kwa ya. All right, ka anyị gaa n'ihu wee gụpụta Igbo alphabet ABC. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B, R, G, H, I, J, K, P, Q, L, M, N, Ng, Nwe, Nye, O, O, P, R, S, Sh, T, U, O, V, W, Y, Z. All right. O nwere ụzọ ọzọ ha na-esikwa agụ ya abịchịdị efege gbeghe gwi hi I jeke kpekwele menenge nwe nye o o p rese she t o o v we ye z. Ụzọ ọbụla iji gụọ ya ya bụrụ na ịgụpụtara mkpụrụ edemede ndị a. Okay. However you learned, there are people who have also done songs in it. enwekwala ndị ji agụ egwu. Okay, agaje m ịgụgharị ya ọzọ. I want us to learn, for those that are learning how to pronounce in Igbo. Thank you, Chizzy and Success, for observing the missing letters. All right. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B, G, H, I, J, K, B, Q, L, M, N, N, O, O, P, R, S, Sh, T, U, O, V, W, Y, Z. All right. Coco Chic. Yes. And I know that this video is going to be posted back on YouTube. So if you did not capture everything right now, it is important for you to go watch the video on YouTube and possibly share it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B, E, G, H, I, J, K, B, Q, L, M, N, N, O, O, P, R, S, Sh, T, U, O, V, W, Y, Z. Now I want to ask a question. What is this? Is this Igbo letters of the alphabet or Igbo sound system? Gịnị bụ ihe ndị ndepụtara na-agụpụta? Ọ bụ mkpụrụ edemede Igbo ka ọ bụ mkpụrụ ụda asụsụ Igbo? Gịnị ka I depụtara na board? What is it that I wrote out? Is it Igbo letters of the alphabet or Igbo sound system? Yes? Ndị bịara ụlọ akwụkwọ. Igbo alphabets. That's enough. Igbo alphabets. Nwere onye ọzọ. Mkpụrụ edemede asụsụ. Chizis na ọ bụ mkpụrụ edemede asụsụ Igbo. Okay. Abeche. Other Success na ọ bụ Abeche. Unu niile zatara ya. You all got it right. Ihe anyị depụtara ebe a bụ Abechi Igbo, nke a na-akpọbu ABD. Bụrụkwa Igbo alphabet. Bụrụkwa Igbo sounds. That is why it is called, in one word, Igbo orthography, the writing system of representing the sounds. Now, why does it encompass the two? Yes. If you look at what I wrote, you can relate it to English alphabet, right? How we see A, B, C, D. The two things that stand out, the two things that make it different from English alphabet. Number one, it has other letters and sounds that are not in English alphabet. Number two, the pronunciation of the letters and sounds. That is where the sound now comes in. This sounds A. It does not sound A. And that is why some people, even in English, make a funny argument, like a joking argument, to say, how can A stand for apple instead of A? That is for English anyway, not for Igbo. It's kind of joke. So this sounds A. It is not in English where A is for apple. You cannot relate with them. The Igbo letters of the alphabet and the sound system produce a representation of the sound of the Igbo. Ọ na-egosi gị ka esi ede mkpụrụ ụda Igbo na mkpụrụ edemede Igbo. We call it mkpụrụ edemede when it is for writing. Writing something, you write with the letters. We call it mkpụrụ ụda when it is for speaking. Speaking is about the sound. That is to say, what you wrote down follows the sound of the Igbo. And Emeka is now trying to give us how the sounds are made. And I appreciate that, Emeka. Thank you so much. Yes. Success says alphabet is foundational to numerous pronunciations of other languages. Exactly. Igbo alphabets. Yes. So, but Emeka ihe depụtara nke o banyezere na ya n'azụ. Now, also, I do not support the idea of writing R, signifying the sound with R. It is R, not R, not R. It is not English. It is R. Now, for B, and that's what we are starting. For B, I think it's about idiosyncrasy or idiolect for you to say it is B rather than B, or on the other way around, for you to say it is B rather than B. I believe it depends on how a person learned how to pronounce. Each of these could be, this could be B or B, but I will go for B because this is Chi, this is D, and then we'll have A. We also now go back to Fe. We don't have this as Fe. So that is why I will go for B and Chi because that's the sound. Then Fe, we have Ge, Bi, Re, Gui, He, E, G, not J. I hear some of these Gen Z today saying J. J is English. This is G. Now K, B, Kwe, Le, Mi, Ni, Nge, Nwe. So you see that A is more prominent in the pronunciation, in the production rather, of the sounds of the Igbo, especially these consonants, right? Okay. Enwere ihe ọzọ m ga-achọ ka m rụtụ aka ebe a. Anyị ekwekọrọla na ihe a bụ ka esi ede na ka esi akpọpụta mkpụrụ ụda na mkpụrụ edemede Igbo. Ọkwa ya? N'ime ya, anyị chi ide ihe, ha ka anyị na-eji ede ihe. Anyị chi kpọpụta Igbo, ha ka anyị na-eji akpọpụta Igbo. Otu n'ime nsogbu asụsụ anyị ndị ọcha nwere na ya bụ ha enweghị ike ịkpọpụta ọtụtụ ụda dị n'ime asụsụ anyị. They could not understand, they could not produce so many of the sounds that we produce. They try to replace them with their own sounds, the sounds of the English. They try to make Igbo sound English, but they did not succeed. But they succeeded for hundreds of years that they were everywhere. And that created a setback for us. The setback we are making every effort to recover from today. It is important that I make this remark. All right. So, n'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ edemede, anyị na-ahụta 36. 36 sounds. Ọkwa ya? 36 letters. 36 letters. 36 letters. Mkpụrụ edemede iri atọ na isii. Mkpụrụ edemede iri atọ na isii. N'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ ụda. N'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ ụda. Ihe anyị na-ahụkwa ebe a bụ mkpụrụ ụda iri atọ na isii. We are also seeing 36 sounds of the different production sounds you can make. Okay? But there are more sounds in Igbo that we make than are represented on the Igbo orthography. The other thing you will notice is in English alphabet, there are letters that are not represented in Igbo because we don't have them. We don't have C, we do not have it. We don't have X somewhere here. We don't have Q, the one we used to call Q. We don't have Q. So, and we are not trying to have these. We are not trying to. Also, unlike the English alphabet, there are sounds that are not represented in the English alphabet. English alphabet, but they are spoken regularly. N'asụsụ Igbo, enwere ọtụtụ ụda ndị anyị na-akpọpụta n'olu ndị anyị na-anọghị na ihe ndị edepụtara dịka mkpụrụ edemede na mkpụrụ ụda. They are not there. But my job here today, beginning from today, is to help us understand the functions, the functionality of letters and those of the sounds in Igbo. Okay? Letters and sounds, and how we can use them to understand Igbo language from the foundation. Ka anyị ga-achịkwa nke a na-akpọpụta ya dịka a, ọ bụghị a. So ebe ọbụla nọ kwuo a, ọ bụghịkwa r, ọ bụghị ọ. Unlike English, we only have one a. We don't have r. We do not have those. We have a dịka Emeka na-edepụtara ya na TikTok ebe. It's a, you open your mouth. Dịka na aka, azụ, akwa, ọkwa ya? Akịka, akụ, agụ. And funnily, Agụ just followed me now on TikTok. Agụ ndewo. Ka esi akpọpụta agụ bụ agụ. One a. We do not have more than one. Okay. Coco Chic, I did not understand what you said. You said this is for R, correct? Which one? Emeka, you are trying to give us tone, right? If we're going by tone, but that's not really, we're not going into tone right now, okay? Because A can take different shapes in terms of the word that they are in. All right. B, we have B, then we have chi, Tigade ndewo. Email, thanks for the roses. Okay. D, okay. N'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ edemede. N'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ edemede. Southern, thank you. Thanks for the roses. Good. All right. Thank you so much. In terms of letters of the alphabet, thank you so much, Southern. Thank you. We are going to go ahead to categorize the letters of the alphabet. We are going to. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anyị gaji ikewasa mkpụrụ edemede Igbo n'ụzọ ole anyị na-ahụta ha. Okay? Nke mbụ, anyị gaji ịhụta ha dịka mkpụrụ edemede gbara otu nke a na-akpọ mkpụrụ nge. I'm using the thank you Sekufus. Na mkpụrụ edemede gbara abụọ nke a na-akpọ mkpụrụ mkpị. Okay? Nke ọzọ, n'ọnọdụ ụda, anyị gaje ịhụ ha dịka ụda ume na mgbochi ume. All right. Okay, ndewonu ndị na-enye anyị onyinye afọ ọma. Thank you all with your precious gifts, Usekufus, Southern, and all of you giving gifts without reservation. All right. Ndewo Nwada Sale. All right. So we are going to, my problem is that I don't want to clean up this. So maybe we are going to rewrite them. Number one, according to, so, okay, I'll be working on this. Mkpụrụ edemede ndị gbara otu. Those letters that are one, we know them, we are seeing them. Tiga, thank you, God bless you. Those that are double are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 diagraphs. I want you to learn this term, diagraphs. Diagraphs. Double, that is 2 sounds in one, or rather 2 letters in one, not sounds now. 2 letters in one. Mkpụrụ edemede gbara abụọ. 2 letters in one. For those of you that speak English, does English language have 2 letters in one? For those of you that speak English, does English language have 2 letters in one? I'm going to pronounce them, don't worry, Betty. In the English alphabet, letters of the alphabet, is there a representation of 2 letters in one? No. People say no. Okay, no, right. Well, okay, no. But in the English sound system, there is a representation of 2 letters in one. Why I brought this is to help you understand, for those of you who are advanced in Igbo language issue on this, to establish where some of the areas we're having the, confusion. Let's go back. Yeah, phonetically. Yes, Coco Chic. All right. Itolunda bundana or diagraph. Ana ha. When I am pronouncing, I'm dealing with the sound. That is where the problem is. When I am pronouncing, I need you to understand that I'm dealing with the sound. No longer the letter. But I am pronouncing the letter. The letter sounds this way. That is where we get some confusions. How is B pronounced? In the phonetic blah blah blah. It is said that B is pronounced when instead of you to release the air with which you are pronouncing the sound, you kind of suck it out and release it by opening your mouth. B, B. Kokoshik. If you are not a native Igbo or African speaker, like you are American, it is a problem sound for you, darling sister. Just so you know. Just so you know. And Chizzy, I'm in a dream begin a strong grammar here, Chizzy. So, and just so you also know, this is where the problem of the white people started, that we now have a word called Igbo on the internet, referring to the Igbo people. A lot of us have rejected it with everything in us. We are not Igbo. We are Igbo. But it is quite disheartening and heartbreaking that a lot of, some are not a lot. I have seen some adult Igbo people who claim that we are Igbo. That we are Igbo. We are the people are Igbo. The language is Igbo. You see how ignorance can eat us up, can eat a person up. I have seen a person, an adult, arguing with his blood that Igbo people are Igbo. Igbo. The word Igbo was born when the British, who colonized our community, our forefathers, our ancestors, could not pronounce this sound because it is unpronounceable by them. It is unpronounceable. Thank you, Tigadi, that you stopped thinking that way. The people are Igbo. The language is Igbo. The community is Igbo. The territorial land is Igbo. Everything about us is Igbo. And it has an origin. We are not Igbo. So, for you, Kokoshik, you may not struggle so much to pronounce it. You are an American. But go ahead and try. You may pronounce it. Yes, Igbo, meaning Ndibo, Emeka, Ndewo. I would seriously appreciate you if you succeed in pronouncing that. And Kokoshik, this is why we are forming the Omenka Igbo Action Group on Telegram. Because Obune Batabe na that action group. Join that action group. Go to our bio now on TikTok and click on the link and join. For you, Kokoshik, I would want to work with you if you are able to send audio of you trying to pronounce this sound. Igbo, Igbo, Igbo. Nobody should accept being called Igbo at all. She's saying that Yoruba teach them that one. Ndewo Chidozie. So please, biko oboni isonyebe na Omenka Igbo Action Group. Ọtụtụ ihe anyị ga na-emebe ahụ ga-agbasa inyere onye ọbụla aka na mgbalị gị n'ịmụta Igbo maọbụ ka esi ede maọbụ ka esi asụ. Join us and share that group with other people. We are beginning to have conversations there. And I beg you, if you are serious about what we are doing here. Okay. The other word that poses, the other letter whose sound poses a problem for even Igbo speakers is this sound. Re, re, re. Re. I have heard a lot of Igbo speakers say it's re, yeah. And it is found in a word like ara. This is not agha. It is not aya. It is ara, ara, ara. And if I must help you pronounce it better, it's just like you're doing Excuse me. So it is what we call in phonetics approximation. Approximation of your mouth in a way that you did not close it completely and it is not completely open. That's the easiest way to learn how to pronounce it. In Serbian, we say and write Igbo. This is beautiful, Adeze Junior. Thank you. That you understand that it is Igbo, not Igbo. All right. So if you are having problem in pronouncing this letter, the way that it sounds, it is this word, ara, that can help you to learn it. And the way to pronounce ara is a, 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 a. So if you make it to continue, it becomes ara, 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 ara. This is re, 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 ara, re, o, re, o, re. All right, I think I've opened my mouth enough, and you have counted all the teeth in my mouth that I should now close it. I leave you to learn how to pronounce re. Okay? Ora, 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 like Cheesy wrote here. Ora. If you are on the group, send us the audio of your pronunciation of these sounds. This is one assignment some of you are going to take within the week till we meet again. Abone on the Telegram group. Zitera your audio practicing these sounds. Okay? Re and we, especially if you are learning Igbo from the scratch. All right. Another similar letter that poses a problem with sound is gui, gui, gui. Some people really pronounce this sound as gui, 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 gui. But the pronunciation is a little bit more complex than that. Is gui, gui, gui. But I would appreciate it if you can go to the point of knowing it as gui if you are not a primary native Igbo speaker. That is okay. That is an effort. But it is gui, gui. So, ihe dị iche na nke a na nke a bụ na nke a na-akpọpụta ya mana nke a na-akpọba ya akpọba. Gbi a na-akpọba ya, gbi a na-akpọpụta ya, while your two lips, touch and your vocal cord vibrates heavily. In both of them, your vocal cord will vibrate heavily, significantly, okay? Gui, gui. All right. She's your way, but I'm glad you wrote it in English. Okay. Igwe, Igwe. So we don't say Igwe. Igwe, but I mean, if you are not a native Igbo speaker, you can say Igwe fine. Okay. But it's Igwe, Igwe, Gwe, Gwe, Gui, Bu, Bu, Gu, Gui, Gua, Gua. So we have it in a lot of words. Gwa, gbe, go, gbe, go. Ị na-akpọpụta ya ụfọdụ mgbe ọ ga-adị ka ị na-akpọpụta gbi ewezuga ma onye ị na-ekwuru okwu ọ ma ihe ị na-ekwu. Igwe, eluigwe, the same. Mkpụrụ edemede ọzọ bụ nke a. Be, a foreigner hardly pronounces it. Be, be. Even a learner hardly pronounces it. There's one of my kids, my daughter. I don't know if she has learned how to pronounce this today. Apa, apa, be, apa, be. This has the same production method with this. Okay, because you implode, you suck in air, you suck in air and release. Ba, 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 bo, ba, bo. There's so many words in Igbo that contains this letter which sounds this way. Be, bo, bola, bom, knocking on the door, bom. Okay, so many words. And her brother is this kwe, which is close to this in production. Somebody nwere ike ịkpọpụta, mmadụ nwere ike ịkpọpụta kwe dịka a na-akpọ q ebe a, and dịka ọmụmaatụ queen, queen, but that is not the natural Igbo production of that sound. It is kwe, kwa, or kwa, or kwa, or kwa, akwo, not akwo, not aqua. You see the difference? Ọ na ịkpọpụta ya dịka kwe, mgbe ị chọrọ ịkpọ ya na mkpụrụ okwu, ị nwezie nsogbu. Ọ na ịkpọpụta nke a dịka gui, mgbe ị chọrọ ịkpọ ya na mkpụrụ okwu, ị nwee nsogbu. That is why we encourage you to learn how to produce it accurately. Gui, not gui. Kwe, not kwe, not kwe, not as in queen. Okay? All right. Chizi si na ndị politics bụ ndị akpa. Ndị oji akpa eli ozu chizi, not ndị akpa naanị. Ndị oji akpa eli ozu. All right. I will gafete na another very interesting letter that produces an interesting sound. It is not double, away a diagraph. It's not a diagraph, but it makes an interesting sound. Nge. The only way you can introduce this sound to an English speaker for them to understand it closely is when you introduce an extension of ing, where some people say good morning. Good morning. The ing nasal or nasalized sound there is closely related to this sound. Nge, ngo. Igbo people have an interesting set of sounds they make that baffles a non-Igbo speaker. It is natural. It is God-given. There is nothing to replace it with. It is inborn. That's all. It's just like an interesting aspect of the language of the Xhosa. Zulu language and Xhosa language. As beautifully as I can make sounds, I cannot make Xhosa sound, the oi that they make. You can hardly make it if you are not a native speaker of the language. And on our tongue, sound undi Xhosa, but I can make it. So, mkpụrụ edemede ndị a anyị na-akpọpụta ụda ha ka ha si ada. Mind my use of letter and sound. I want you to be consistently aware of how I'm using this. The letter and their sound. How we produce the sounds of the letters that make up the Igbo orthography. So, is a nasal sound, and my volume is a tip of your mouth where the hard palate ends up in the soft palate, The tip of the soft palate is like an index finger or the or the small finger ending up and has the ability to flap when you are producing sound. It can flap like this. Okay. All right. We are going to come to words, Tiga. I don't want to rush this topic. I am taking it very, very slowly. I got okay? Right. So when you're making that sound and it can touch, if the sound is being produced at the tip of the volume, that is an example of it. So, and will give us na, and this will give us ngo. That's to answer your question, Tiga D. Okay, I don't know if if that makes sense. Another one is nara. Okay, let me see if I can use similar words. Similar, very, very similar. Nara. Okay. Yeah. Nga nte. Nara is to take. Nga nte is listen. Okay? You cannot say na nte, you cannot say ngara. Ndewo chioma, dalu o. Yeah, Emeka edeputala. Emeka ndewo ima Igbo ede. And I also appreciate your ability to put the tone marks. I think you being able to put tone mark on TikTok chat means that you know how to use your keyboard, your phone keyboard. Thank you, Emeka. Ndewo. All right. Success is dereba angore, right? Angore, which is joy, happiness. It's an example of word. Emeka ederela ngo, which is drink. So thank you very much. I need people like you in this class, to help make sure that there is a better understanding amongst learners. Ọtụtụ ụmụnne anyị ndị nọ n'ofesi ndị na-aha ọtachi Igbo, we really need people like you to help up. All right. Angara. Angara, chizidere angara, which is a very sumptuous, beautiful snack, natural snack that we have. Angara mobo afofa, like people could call it, garden egg. All right. One typical example Becca is bringing now will be Onwu and Onwu. Good. Onwu is mouth. And Onwu is joy or happiness, whatever, okay? Outside of the tone, ihe mere mkpụrụ okwu abụọ ndị a dị iche wee bụrụ na nke a bụ ni, nke a bụ nge, right? Aside from the tone, one other thing that differentiates the two words is this one is n, this one is nge. So it's just for you to have a better understanding. All right, let's go to Nwe. I believe this is easier for, thank you, Tigadi. Thank you so much. God bless you. I believe that this is easier for a non-native speaker to possibly produce Nwe than the other ones. We have example as in Nwa, Nwata, Nwe. Of course, you can make Nwe, okay, we can make such sounds. For those who enjoy the guitar of those days. Amaka John, Ndewo, Kedo, Dalo, my sister, Dalo. All right, so Odim ka nwe a ga-emeta nwunye n'ihi na anyị niile ga-akpọ nwa ụbọọnụ. I got one. So it's easy. That's it. Okay? Yeah. Okay. The other one is nye as in nye. give, okay? Nye, give. Ade is edunya. Nye is give, okay? Which is nye, give. So we can also produce nye. I believe in Spanish language, we have a word like montaño, right? It is similar to our Igbo nye. And funnily, Spanish writes montaño with N that has something up. Abrona Igbo, this is montango. So Spanish writes it that way with N that has the dot up, which Igbo pronounces as nge, but the sound is nye, montaño. So for those of you in America, you are familiar with the words, some Spanish words that sound that way. It is nye in Igbo, nye. So Igbo will have anyinya mobo inyinya. Okay, anya, your eyes, anya, dewo. Stephen Dalo, Adreganam. All right. Senorita, I think which is Italian, cheesy. I hope senorita is Italian, yes, believe, or Spanish, I don't know. So it is also in Spanish language, it's also in French, as that may, as the case may be. So nye, and all of that. Nomadalo, dewo. All right. Nkibazia, the last diagraph we are looking at, shh. Of course, this one is, popular across both Igbo, English, and some other languages. Shh. 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 Shout. Okay? Shout. Shame. Shishi. Obino, they give shishi. Now we don't like them. We know they give shishi. Cheesy water. All right. So we have it, shh. Mana enwere ihe dị mkpa nchọrọ ka m kọwaa na mkpụrụ edemede a ụda ya bụ shi. Enweghị ọtụtụ mkpụrụ okwu nọ na Igbo, standard Igbo izugbe a na-akpọpụta shi. Ha ebughị ibu, mana n'olu ndị o buru ibu karịa. Dịka some Jesu ibera class today, okay, ndewo, na-edepụta ebe a nshiko. That is one word. There are so many other words that Igbo have that in the standard is not produced with shi, but in the dialect is produced with shi. Shishi bo abughị okwu ọkpụ Igbo. Yes, it is not an Igbo word, even though it is used. Shilling is from British currency that was translated and modified as shishi. Okay? Right. Now, Inherika Oshishi. Some Igbo dialects, especially the Imo states, will call Oshishi, but the standard is called OCC. The other word be those people that call crayfish, I think Isha. This is another word that has she. Other people Oshimili. So you find out that the sound she dwells more in the dialect of the Igbo than in the standard. Ishi, head. In the standard, it is isi. Where I come from, we call ishi. We call oshishi. But the standard is isi and osisi. So I need to say that. Some people also say nshi, ma shi. or then in the standard is Nsi. So there's, these words that tell you that the sound she dwells more in the dialects. All right, I hope I have made my point clear. With these few points of mine, I believe I have convicted you that she is more prevalent in the dialects than the standard. Right. And now, at least some people can clap for me. Okay. Is she as well? Thank you, Emeka. All right. Ihemju kuzie akụkụ nkuzi nke ụbọchị taa n'ọnọdụ abụ ka m nwee ike ime ntọala. Thank you, Stephen. Imeela maka aka nke kọrọ m. Ndewo. Ka m nwee ike inye ntọala ka anyị wee ghọta ebe anyị na-aga ihe ga-abụ izu ụka abụọ na atọ na-abịa abịa. The reason we are doing this is huge. This is important. This is very predominantly significant and very important to me and to the work we are doing. Now, let me now go and rewrite these letters of the alphabet. Akọwala m ihe ndị anyị depụtara n'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ edemede. I have explained the letters, how we wrote it down in line with letters. In line with letters. Agaje m ịga n'ihu ịkọwa ya n'ọnọdụ ụda. Mkpụrụ ụda. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead to explain this in line with sound system. Thank you, Useku Foods. Appreciate you. In line with sound systems. Okay? Right. One and there. Now, Igbo letters or Igbo orthography, Igbo letters and alphabets, okay, can be categorized according to consonants and vowels. Now, when we say this most of the times, Nomadalo, oh no, that's Nwa Oma Ndewo. Thank you for the multiple gifts. Bless you. All right. So when we say consonants and vowels, the words consonants and vowels dwell among sounds. They dwell among sounds. Victor, there's nothing like Igbo. Victor, Vicky, Chijindo. I'm surprised Igbo Nwafi Igbo Inajo, what is Igbo? There's nothing like Igbo. Igbo is non-existent. What we have is Igbo. Igbo. Mobu Igbo. Not Igbo. Right. When you say consonants, you are referring to sounds. Yeah, Victor, I don't know where he's... Okay, I made a comment about it when we were talking about the sound. I went akọwa na ndị ọcha anaghị akpọpụta ya mere anyị ji nwee okwu a na-akpọ Igbo today. Then what I also say that ọ gbagwojuru m anya na ụfọdụ ụmụafọ Igbo so na-ede ihe a Igbo na ya bụ Igbo, I bụ Igbo. Okay? So that's why you have it on the board. Ka m hichaa ya tupu onye ọzọ ajụọ ma ndewo Victor Vicky, aha bekee gị akarịala biko. Kedu ihe bụ aha gị? Kọrọ m ihe bụ aha gị. Victor Vicky. Ndewo. Dalo. All right. So whenever we say consonants, we are talking about sounds. Whenever we say vowels, we're talking about vowels, sounds. But sometimes we think about them in relation to letters of the alphabet. Mgbe ọbụla anyị na-ekwu mkpụrụ okwu a bụ consonant na bekee, nke a na-akpọ mgbochi ume n'Igbo. Mgbochi ume. Mgbochi ume. ya ka na-akpọ consonant. Ụda ume, ụda ume. Mara na ihe a na-ekwu maka ya bụ gịnị? Ụda. Ụda. Mmadụ nlese ụda, not mkpụrụ edemede. But it is also very closely related. You can refer to that. So I am going to write this now. Nsogbu. Nwanne Victor Vicky Chijindo, aha ya bụ onye mara ihe ga-eso okwu. Aga m enyere ya ka kwupụchaa ya. Onye mara ihe ga-eso okwu ya emele ya. Oh my God. I'll be like a bicycle. Onye mara ihe ga-eso okwu ya emele ya. Ndewo. Oh my God. Right. N'ọnọdụ mkpụrụ edemede ndị anyị depụtara. Consonants. A, E, I, E, O, U, O. Ole ka ha dị? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ụda ume Igbo dị 8. Igbo vowels are 8 in number. They are A, mmadụ niile kwuo ya. E, I, O, U, O. Now, I must say this. I must say that ọtụtụ n'ime anyị, ụmụafọ Igbo, ọtụtụ n'ime anyị na-enwe mgbagwoju anya n'ịkpọpụta mkpụrụ ụda ndị a. Ọtụtụ n'ime anyị. Mana enyemaka m ga-enyere gị taa bụ mgbe ọbụla ị hụrụ nke nwere kpọm n'ala, mara na ụda ya dị elu karịa nke nwanne ya. Whenever you see the one that has dot under, know that the sound is higher in pitch than the other, the equivalent or the pair that doesn't have the diacritic. Now let us say that. E, heavy. A, high and light. That's an example. O, heavy. O, high and light. U, heavy. O, high and light. So it deals with your pitch. It deals with the weight of the sound. Amama nke ọ ga-enyere gị aka na mkpọpụta ichete ka esi akpọpụta n'ihe o nwere ese I do not know how to pronounce them. Ka anyị ga-achịkwa azụ. Ekwuru m na mbido na anyị nwere naanị otu a naanị otu. Okay? We have one a, we don't have a, just like it is in English. A na-akpọpụta ya site n'ihe ọnụ onye wee sị a. Anyị enwe naanị otu a, anyị enweghị we do not have those sounds in English. Ndewo spiritual woman. Adịkwara gị na mma o. Ekelekwa m gị. Ị nwere aha Igbo? Ka ime ka anyị mara nnụ. Naanị otu a ka anyị nwere, anyị enweghị a abụọ nke a na-akpọpụta dịka a. Victor, I ga-agarukwa ebe ahụ o. I ga-eru ebe ahụ. Kena, thank you. Kena, where have you been? Seems you just coming to class. Some essential Chidozie, I'm Chijioke ndewo, Chukwu gọzie gị. No. Ọtụtụ n'ime unu na-abata nkụzi a nke mbụ n'ụbọchị taa. Ekele dịrị Chineke ọ maka na ndị na-ebe a so na-eme ka nkụzi a bụrụ nke a ga na-ahụ. That means we are creating a better algorithm for the class today. Ndewo. Cindy, gịnị bụ aha Igbo gị? Ndewo. Anyị anaghị ekele abalị ọma Mama maybe ekele ndị ahụ na-esi anyị anaghị ekele ụtụtụ ọma si ndị ndewo ihe anyị na-ekele bụ ndewo daalụ nnọọ ya dịrị unu na mma o chi unu abụọla chi unu eteela unu asaala chi. We do not greet ụtụtụ ọma. It is English, an English greeting translated into Igbo. All right, somebody wrote something I wanted to comment on. Okay, Somijesu sị na ichetara na ajụrụ m gị, so Somijesu ichetara ị kwesịrị ịnọ iche. Okay, ajụrụ m gị ma anyị nwere a dị iche iche maka na ka esi ekwupụta a na mkpụrụ okwu. Mba, anyị nwere naanị otu a. Thank you for bringing that back. Okay. Ndewo, Victor, Vicky, thank you so much. All right. Ume Nkiru, odozi akụ ndewo, ahụrụ m gị. Daalụ o. All right. Ijeọma. Daalụ, Chukwu gọzie gị. Michael, daalụ. Ebu nwa afọ Igbo. All right. Anyị ga-ekwu okwu m yiri udume anyị ka nọ na udume ka anyị na-eji nwayọọ nwayọọ ka mmadụ niile nwee ike isonye anyị. Okay. All right. Nneka Ugwu oke daalụ. Thanks for joining on YouTube. Mmadụ abụ chi ị na-aza Dwayne ọwa aha ndị ebe nọkwa rụrụ ala. Degharịa ihe ahụ aha gị bụ mmadụ abụchi. Ndewo mmadụ abụ. Daalụ, God bless you. All right. A, E, E. Thank you, Michael. E, O, U, O. If you want to practice, if you are not a native speaker of Igbo, but you want to practice these sounds and you want us to help you, improve, please send us your audio on the Telegram group. If you are joining us now, you do not know about the Telegram group, go to our bio on TikTok, click on the link, join the Telegram group, Omenka Igbo Action Group. That is what it's called. And you can also download our Omenka app on your Play Store and Apple Store. If you're a beginner, it's available to you. All of our resources are free, except when you are looking for a customized class. We can put you on a customized class and you're going to pay for that. All right. Ndewo William C. Glass. Ndewo O. All right. Nam, I gana ejie n'otu. All right. Ihe a bụ duma asatọ ndị Igbo nwere taa. Mama ga-achọpụta ọzọ echi, mana aga m asị na taa anyị na-amụ Igbo uduma asatọ a ka anyị nwere. Ị hụrụ okwu gbasara mmeso ọma, nsogbu adị. Aga m asị na okwu ahụ gbadoro okwu na aha gị. Onye mara ihe na-ese okwu ya emela ya. Ọtụtụ ụmụafọ Igbo mara ihe na-ese okwu ha na-eme ya. Okwu ahụ gbasara mmeso ọma, ana m ekwu ya kwamgbe. Anyị ga-ejikwa ohere a kwukwa ya ọzọ n'ihi na ọkawa ihe anyị na-ahụ taa. There's a lot of mess. That's what I say in my class. A lot of nonsense in terms of writing Igbo coming from Igbo speakers. Ọ na-agbawa m obi, ọ na-eme ka ọ dịka eji mma ụta gbuwa obi m abụọ. That's how I feel about it. It's bad. It's heartbreaking. Okay, we'll touch it again. All right. Ka anyị gazie na mgbochi ume B, Ch, D, F, Ife, G, B, Gwi. Oh, sorry. Re, Gwi, Hi, Ji, Ki, Le, Me, Ne, Nge, Nwe, Nye, Pi, Re, Se, She, Ti, Vi, We, Ye, Ze. Ole ka ọ dị? otu, abụọ, atọ, anọ, ise, isii, asaa, asatọ, itoolu, iri, na otu, na abụọ, na atọ, na anọ, na ise, na isii, na asaa, na asatọ, na itoolu, iri abụọ, na otu, na abụọ, na atọ, na anọ, na ise, na isii. 26. All right, Dwayne is my family is from Delta State. Dwayne, we don't have the word Igbo. What we have is Igbo. IGBO. Don't worry about the difference between your dialect and the standard, okay? We know that the different dialects of Igbo speak differently. But we are today looking at the standard writing format of Igbo. If you were here earlier, the sound sh onoichaghị na standard Igbo n'Igbo izugbe mana enwere ya karịa n'olu ndị. Your people ndị Delta na-asụ sh, ndị ụlọ anyị na-asụ sh n'ọtụtụ mkpụrụ okwu, but we don't always have it in the standard. But your name Madabu is a standard Igbo name, which means Madabuichi, but is written as Madabuchi. So you are welcome very well here, Madabu. But please do not write the word IBO again. It is IGBO. Igbo, 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 Igbo. If you get confused, pronounce it and spell it in your head. Igbo, Igbo. Ndewo, Mazi, Madabu. All right. Udume asato, mgbochiume iri abụọ na isii. Udume asato, mgbochiume iri abụọ na isii. Udume asato, mgbochiume iri abụọ na isii. Ihe ndị a bụ ihe ndị gosiri ụda, mkpụrụ ụda Igbo nke sitere na mkpụrụ edemede. Mkpụrụ ụda Igbo sound system. Igbo sounds versus Igbo letters. When you are writing it down, you are writing the letters. When you are pronouncing it, you are pronouncing the sounds. You are producing the sounds. You are giving sound to the letter. This letter is sounded this way. This sound is written this way. Ha abụọ dị iche na-emekọrịta ihe ma ụfọdụ mgbe na-enwekwa mgbagwoju anya. I want to appreciate you all who made effort to come to this class today, especially very new people that I have seen who are commenting, talking, chatting, creating conversations. It is very awesome. Yeah, Igbo. My mom is always bent on we spelling Igbo words, pronouncing the Igbo letters. Beautiful. And ụfọdụ ndị nne kasịrị n'aka success. Ụfọdụ ndị nne anyị ndị maara ka esi enye aka na-enyere ụmụazị aka ịgbazi ha olu in some of these things we are teaching. All right. Our teachers us those days. Psalm essential. Our time in here, you might want to rewrite it or check what you wrote. Tosmando Ibera, Tochukwu Ibera na Zoge. I don't know where you're joining from. We start at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. If you are in Africa, it is 6 p.m., especially if you are in West Africa. If you are in Europe, I think it's close there. I don't know what the time is. If you are in America, it is 1 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, that's when we'll start. All right, I am trying to come to the conclusion and summary of our conversations today as we're beginning to round off. Now, I am going to go to additional. Let me see. Okay, let me do it here. The consonants. The consonants according to letters, we saw the other categorization, which we will call diagraphs, and we have chi, we, re, we, we, nye, she. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are there 7 or 8 or 9? There's supposed to be 9. We, chi, we, re, we, mwenye, she. I thought we got 9 before. Are they supposed to be 9? Kwe. Oh, I missed things. Oh yeah, A and thank you. Odozi Akuchiwa. I got so confused about that. All right. Yeah. Kwe. Sorry. A, kwe, we, nye, she. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, why don't I have kwe here? I missed it all. Ke, e, kwe, le, me, ne, ne, nwe, nye, pi, re, se, ti, vi, we, ye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. Ozuola ubua. Ozuola. All right. I nwere mgbochi ume iri abụọ na isii. Agazie site na mgbochi ume. Out of the consonants, we now have the ones we call diagraphs. Mgbochi ume gbara mkpe. Mgbochi ume gbara mkpe. Ebe a ka anyị ga-akwụsị nkuzi nke ụbọchị taa. I want you to go home with the categorization of the Igbo letters of the alphabets to mean the vowels, the consonants, the diagraphs. But I will add another one, which I think you're all going to see, which they call semi-vowels. Maọbụ mmiri, ụda ume. And we're going to get those from okay, let me not go into this today because it will make my class to go further without stopping today. So I want to stop here. Ndewo, learn Igbo with them Madalu O. So on Monday, the next class, I will continue from here. This categorization, okay? Because there's a little bit of a confusion between what is regarded as semi-vowels that we have in English and what we have in Igbo as syllabic nasals. I'm going to treat that very, very well again. So if I get into that now, it will extend the class. This class is only on Mondays. Only on Mondays. 6 p.m. Nigerian time. 1 p.m. Eastern time of the American time system. Follow us on TikTok and on YouTube for those that join on YouTube, and make sure that you get notification. But sometimes either TikTok or YouTube, sometimes they don't give notifications. Just put the date, put it on your calendar. Make sure that you come on time. The other thing I have implored you to do is to please go to our bio on TikTok, click on the link and join the Omenka Igbo Action Group. We are coming up with serious, thoughtful creation of documentations that will go towards changing some things that are happening in Igbo today with regard to language and culture. The other thing is, if you want us to help checkmate your learning process, you're going to have to do it with accountability partners. And we're creating an opportunity for you to have accountability partners in us to help you learn Igbo. You have to do it religiously, without which you will not learn. You cannot enculturate yourself easily without taking extra efforts. You take extra shift in obodo Igbo, you like to take extra shifts. Do take extra efforts. Without which you will not succeed. And if you don't succeed, you will get discouraged, you will fail, you won't even make efforts in indoctrinating and enculturating your own children, if and when you have children. It becomes a vicious cycle, which it has been. We have to take what belongs to us by force. Even you're going to have to learn how to break the yoke that has held us bound for several hundreds of years. Our language was messed up. Our culture was confused. Our identity is still in crisis. So many of you are not proud Igbo sons and daughters because of where you were born, where you are growing up, the friends you have, where you are today, where you think you have your affinity. You cannot say, I am Igbo. But most importantly, because you don't even know your language. That is what Omenka app is all about. Enculturating you, helping you to enculturate, reintroduce yourself deeply with your language and linguistic identity and cultural heritage. I want to see many more people today, in the next class than I saw today, both on YouTube and on TikTok. I also want to see more engaging conversations on our Omenka Igbo Action Group. Obachinta, kaichono no werenchi, Igbo, dalono, ndewono.